Hey ladies, welcome to another episode of the Queen Talk podcast, right? My name is Breye'l Banks, and as always, I'm super excited to tune in with you ladies for another episode of us just chatting about what it means for us to level up, right? Mentally and financially. So I'm excited to jump into today's episode, which is titled Plan or Fail. It's really as simple as that, right? In today's episode, we're going to be chatting from the perspective of a gardener. Fun fact, I love gardening. I am totally excited that I am building this life for myself, right? Where I will be able to be in my garden every single day as I continue to coach women on their prosperity consciousness. But even the more, it's exciting to know that there is a strong correlation between gardening and you manifesting whatever it is that you desire, right? So here's the reality, right, of the plan or fail concept. There are just certain things that won't change, right? I've been reading and gaining more personal development through Jim Rohn, where he speaks about the seasons of growing that never change, right? And he says that the sun comes up every day and nobody questions it, right? You and I have been through things in life, right, that nobody questions, right? We've also been through things in life that we do question, but it is safe to say we have all gone through something, right? Just in different seasons. So with this season that we are in right now, I am located in Jacksonville, Florida, right? Your girl has moved from Georgia to Florida, such an amazing experience. In this season that we are in right now, we are exiting the winter time, right? And we are springing into new ideas. We are springing into new opportunities. We're just springing into a space where we can operate as the highest version of ourselves, right? And so what this time is now calling for us to do is to plan for what it is that we plan to sow in the springtime, right? Here are 4 things that are just not going to change if you live in the United States, right? You're going to have the springtime, you're going to have the summertime, fall's going to come after that, then it's going to be wintertime, right? Those are 4 things that are not going to change. As a farmer, as a gardener, right, you also understand on a deeper level that when you plant in the springtime, you're gonna reap in the fall time, right? For my Christian followers, you already know the saying, you sow and you reap, right? What you sow, you will reap. So I'm challenging you ladies today, right? To be in a space where you are willing to plan to ensure that you will not fail. All right. So even deeper on this, right, is the reality that it's not always going to be easy, right? Gardening is not that easy. Farming is not that easy. It is a skill that must be cultivated and nurtured, right? But we've all been through things that are not that easy. But did you die though? No. So in the queenhood transformation, right, you must now begin to see your actions as a way of sowing seeds in the springtime. Here's a fun fact, right? In Chinese astrology, the new year actually begins in the springtime, right? So if you can correlate this new year, this spring equinox that is approaching us, right? If you can correlate that to your personal life, meaning January through March was kind of like your winter period, right? It was your period of taking time to really recognize, what do I need to release? What needs to die off, right? What has to go? Because inevitably, the springtime is going to come, right? And in the winter time is when the obstacles come, right? We all know it's getting cold in these streets. it's cold in the wintertime, right? But here's the amazing part, right? Here's the opportunity that's at hand. You always have the ability on an everyday basis to make the transformation, right? The choice is yours on an everyday basis to make small changes, right? The butterfly effect, to make small initial changes that will inevitably increase your ability to manifest what it is that you desire. See, a limiting belief for me, used to be that it would take a long time for things to come to me, like a long time for things to come to me. And I very much so feel that I went through a period, especially financially, right, where things were hard for me. And it's because I wasn't operating in prosperity consciousness. But as I began to make the small initial changes, right, of like becoming intentional on purpose, I started to ask myself the questions, Breye'l, what are you put here to do, right? What is it that you are really called to do? I had to recognize it wasn't enough just to say, well, I know I like to help people. How, right? How do you want to help people? And what unique gift, skills, and talents do you have that you can begin to utilize, right? To begin to help people. If you want to know what it is that you need to be planning, you have to ask the creator, right? You are the creator. You no longer have to sit in a space where you are working the creation of someone else's mind, right? You can build stability for yourself, whatever stability looks like. And honestly, if we take it all the way back to a natural state in real life, only thing you really need is food and water, right? Only thing you really need is basic necessities. In Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I speak about this in my book, Becoming Intentional on Purpose. Maslow talks about how to even manifest the higher levels of consciousness, right? That self-actualization, right? You being in that space where you're able to see who you really are and live out your life to the fullest potential, which is your birthright. We are all capable of doing, right? Maslow speaks that before you even get to that point, only thing you truly need as a basis is basic stability, those basic needs. That's why having a clear vision of what it is that you desire is the key to you manifesting what it is that you want. For instance, for myself and my husband, we both desire financial freedom, right? We both desire to be in a space where we are living out our purpose, right? Through the elevation of others, holistically, mentally, financially, health-wise, right? It can be the same case for you. You must simply put yourself in a space where you begin to recognize, if I want to succeed at whatever it is that my heart is desiring, I must plan for it, right? Because without a plan, you fail. Here's the funny thing about the way this whole prosperity consciousness, abundance. Here's the tea, right? Because we come for the tea. We want the real deal. We want right there. We want right there, right? Here's the real deal. And the affirmation for the podcast. My apologies. Here's the real deal. You can no longer leave your opportunities to succeed to chance. Chance is not enough, right? You can't continue on autopilot in a space where you're just like, maybe one day it'll happen for me. Maybe one day I'll luck up, right? And I'll just wake up and my bank account says $300,000, or I'll just get a phone call to put myself in a space where I'm helping others and serving others and stuff like that, right? Let's keep it real. Majority of you women listening to this podcast, right? My millennial queens, majority of you didn't get anything passed down from your ancestors, right? And even the more, that should be reason for you to create a gift of generational wealth, right? A gift of higher vibrational frequency energies, operating at the highest version of yourself, living a life that is renewed, right? Full of love and laughter. You can have that, right? Many of you are the first ones and are going to be the first ones to create that for your family. But it is up to you to create it. One thing I've really tapped into recognizing when we talk about planning or failing, right, is that you aren't going to have all of the answers up front. And you're going to have to be okay with that, right? You are not going to know A through Z the moment the idea pops in your head, right? You have to be okay with that. Because honestly and truly, that's the process, right? And it is in the process that you create the life you desire. If you had the roadmap for the process, you wouldn't be creating anything, right? It's like going to a job and they give you the training and they say, this is how you do your role, A through Z, right? You didn't create anything. You just flipped through a process that someone else had already created. You weren't part of the creation, right? But the amazing thing about the life that you can live through having prosperity consciousness and financial freedom is that you can create the life that you want. What do you want? When was the last time you asked yourself, what do I really want? I know you just don't want to work that job, right? I know that you really don't just want to continue to struggle financially, right? I know that you want to be able to travel. I know that you want to be able to wake up every day and do the things that make you happy, right? The things that are in alignment with you living your life to the fullest. I know that you want that. So what would it take for you to get that? And that's the power of planning or failing. I think back to that very pivotal time in my life when my vehicle was repossessed. I mean, I was hurt. I mean, embarrassed. It hurt me to the core, right? Like that period of just having what I felt was like mine, because that was my first real thing, my car, right? That was my first like possession. To have that snatched up from up under me, right? It really, really caused me to take a shift and make a decision in my life that I no longer was going to be a person whose car would be getting repossessed over a missed payment, right? I no longer wanted to be a person who didn't understand money and financial literacy and money management skills, right? And I remember in that moment, what it took was for me to recognize that that situation was actually unique to me to mold me into the woman that I needed to be speaking to you right now, right? And the truth is that you have probably been through a very similar situation where you had a transformational period and maybe you allowed it to put limiting beliefs inside your head, right? Maybe you allowed it to stop you from living out the highest version of yourself, but release it. I'm sending you enough love and positive vibes and opportunities and thoughts to know that you can release it. And if maybe your trauma wasn't financially, maybe it was physically, maybe it was emotionally, maybe it was spiritually, that it's okay to know that what you've been through was just what you needed to go through in order to get you to where you are right now. And in this space and in this time, your life is brimming with opportunities for you to tap into the highest version of yourselves, right? If you can correlate the times that you've been through, those struggles, that frustration, if you can correlate all of that negative, low vibrational frequency and channel that into creation, channel that into healing yourself, right? Releasing the old version of you and stepping into the highest version of yourself. If you can release those things, right? You can truly come into alignment with right now. Because it's how you spend your time right now that truly determines where you're going to be in the future. So let's talk about how it is that you can transform right now, because the opportunity is yours and you are no longer leaving it up to chance, right? You are now going to tap into your natural skills, your natural talents. And I call them natural because even though you may have needed, even though you may have learned them, right? They're still going to come naturally to you because you're going to practice and you're going to put yourself in a position where you know and you align with the fact that now is your time to create and be unique and be the individual queen that you are, right? And operate in the highest version of yourself. So here are some of the skills that you can begin to think about, right? Think about if you really have some of these skills that you can begin to use. I'm going to list a few, all right? So a couple of the skills that you can begin to utilize, right, towards creating beautiful, beautiful, beautiful things, right, is the skill of problem solving, right? Have you ever been that person where you're like, dang, I just know this can be fixed like this, right? Or if they'll just do it like this would work amazingly. Oh, or maybe you're really good at math and you see like 1 + 1 = 2, right? But maybe you didn't go to school to be a teacher. That's okay because you can create a stream of income being a tutor, right? What if you started your own teaching company, right? Because you're that great at problem solving, right? Or maybe you have the skill of communication, right? Maybe you're a person who you can work the room. You know how to communicate effectively. You know how to ensure that your message gets across properly and that everyone takes what it is that you hear and use it to the best of their ability, right? So maybe that's your skill. Or what if you have the skill of leadership? Oh my goodness, how we need great leaders now more than ever, right? And maybe you worked a job and they didn't think that you were a great leader, but you knew within yourself that you were a great leader, right? Release those limiting beliefs that they put on you about not being ready to succeed and about not being ready for leadership. That was all just trials and tribulations to place you in a space where you became your own leader. Because when you're a great leader, you attract other great people. And inevitably, you guys will rise to the top, right? So leadership may be your amazing skill. Another amazing skill, right, that you can tap into right now, because again, the time is here. Ever since 2020, honestly, even the more right now in 2022, and especially all the way through 2024, the time is really calling for you to push out the creativity, right? What would it take for you to live out your skills of being creative? I used to think like, oh, I didn't have any creativity because I couldn't draw. That was the way I thought of creativity, right? But then I realized I'm really good at creating other things. I am really good at having a vision in my head and bringing that forth to creativity. I could just hire someone else to draw. right? I can hire someone else to paint for me, or I can, get an outline from somewhere and still overall express my creativity from a totally different space. If you're looking to succeed, right? If you are looking to place yourself in the space where your input exceeds your output on a natural way, right? And your output, right? What you bring in. If you're looking to be in a space, right, where you want to invest one and get back three, because that's the time for now, right? I call you to be creative. Be creative as you can be, right? And if you're having the sense of blocked creativity, it's because you need to release, right? So I am calling for you to release the limiting beliefs that are holding you back. Now's the time. Release your limiting beliefs. Because when you can release those limiting beliefs, you can then become intentional on purpose. The thoughts that you think, they form the life that you live, right? The thoughts inside your head, it's those thoughts that dictate how you move on an everyday basis. And if you are looking for change, if you are looking to live your life where you write down something, right? You put in the work and you manifest it, there has to be some change in your action on an everyday basis, right? And again, it does not have to be big change. It can be small change, but you must become intentional on purpose. Remember, Queen, before we wrap up this podcast, remember, becoming intentional on purpose, right? Operating in the Queen mindset really just means that you have a vision for yourself, a vision to live out the highest version of you. You also are a queen who obtains the wisdom needed to create this vision. You know your natural skills. You know your talents. You know that you are amazing. You know that you want to live greater and more abundantly and in a space where things just come to you so easily, as they should. Those things are on the highest vibrational frequency of yourself. So I ask you, what can you plan out today? How can you take action today? A little action that will just make you a little better tomorrow.